Steele here. In this video, I'm going to talk more about market geometry, specifically about drawing squares, actual squares, four-sided squares, on the price chart to help forecast turning points. Now, anytime that you draw anything on a chart, whether squares, circles, triangles, whatever it may be, you need the market that you're drawing those on to be the actual chart to be scaled to a scale that's usable. And what that means is if you notice when you scale back and forth, the chart changes the size of the scale. You need to lock the scale down so that it doesn't change when you scroll. And then you need to set the scale to something where the market will respond. And for this market, the Great British Pound US dollar, on the 4-hour chart, the scale of 2 pips for every hour, or 2 price units for every 1 time unit, does what I'm looking for and does what we're going to look for. So first thing that we need to do is just quickly set the scale to the chart. So I'm going to, excuse me, go to scale, select scale fix, and that's going to keep the scale. So regardless of where I scroll, the scale stays the same. And then I'm going to draw 2 lines on the chart here. And I'm going to set these lines so that they are 80 pips apart. We do 1.39. This one will be 1.3980. Then I'm going to draw vertical lines, and I'm going to draw those 10 candles apart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now there's the space of 10 candles, which is 40 hours, and 80 pips, which is twice the 40 hours. So now all I have to do is take the trend line by angle tool, start at the corner down here, and draw a 45-degree angle. Just like this. Then come over here and drag the scale so that this line coincides with the node here. And the node, all node is when 2 lines cross like that. So now I can go ahead and delete these. But now this chart is scaled for 2 pips for every hour. And that's the scale that we need for the 4-hour Great British Pound US dollar chart. And you'll have to experiment when you use it for different markets, different Forex markets or whatever. Each market and then each time frame is going to have a scale that will work well for drawing a specific shape. And this shape that we're going to draw is a square. So the first thing to do when we draw a square is pick a nice pivot point. And we see here that the market moved down here and then has been moving up for probably several weeks now. But this is a good starting point here because it's a nice significant low. So what we're going to do is draw a horizontal line right there at the top of this first swing up. And then we're going to take our trend line by angle tool and measure that angle in degrees. And we see that it's right at 75.3, 75.4. Looks like 75.4 will be close enough for us, actually. Yeah, that should work. 75.4 degrees. So this angled trend line right here becomes the very first side of our square that we're going to draw. Now, to be able to figure out the rest of the square, all we have to do is enter in the degrees here, which is 75.4, and subtract 90 degrees from it, because, as I'm sure you know, each side of the square is 90 degrees from each other, a right angle. And it gives us 14.6 negative degrees, or down angle of 14.6. And if we look at the trend line by angle tool, we see that it starts at 0 degrees and it goes all the way around up to 360 degrees. There are no negative degrees, so to speak. So to get what we actually need, we're going to have to add 360 to that negative 14.6. So that shows us a 345.4 degree angle. So we're going to start right here and put 345.4 degrees, and that will give us the second side to our square, our first square here. And then to get the third angle, or the third side to our square, I should say, all we have to do is draw a second 345.4 degree angle right down here at the bottom, 345.4. That gives us right here. And then for the fourth side, we need to draw a second 75.4 degree angle. So 75.4 degrees, and then we have the angle, but we need to figure out where exactly to put it so the square is perfectly shaped. And to do that, all you have to do is take your 345.4 degree angle, which is this down angle, and subtract 45 degrees from it. That gives us an angle of 300.4 degrees. So what we'll do is take our angle tool and go down at 300.4 degrees. Now where this angle right here intersects this bottom line, if we will place this right here, we'll see that we have our square right here. This is our first square that we've drawn. And we'll see that we kind of have these like little channel lines that go up here and then down here from the square that make a much, much larger square up here that you can kind of make out the corner of right there. We're going to use that to our benefit. But before we do anything else, I want to go ahead and draw in our final angle. Let me show you here. We're going to add 90 degrees to this. Plus 90 brings us to 390 degrees, which is more than we need. Not necessarily more than we need, but it's more than 360, so we have to subtract that out. And then we get 30.4 degrees. So if we will draw a 30.4 degree angle up from here, we have the center of our square, and that right there is what I'm looking for, center of our square. Okay? Now, if you notice, let me get this here. Excuse me. The center of the square times the top move. In other words, the market moved up here and then stopped and it went sideways right here, and the center of the square timed that. So what we're going to do here is continue to use these lines to forecast. All we have to do to make more squares in the same channel is to draw our angle lines up here to create the new square. And then what I'm going to do, see, this is a 345.4. I'm going to draw 345.4. Wow, I almost got that. 345.4 right there. And that is our second square. And then if we look, we see that, excuse me, once again, the intersecting angles or the exact center of the square has timed a nice top right here. Timed when the top happens. And then all we have to do, I guess I can go ahead and delete this line to get out of the way. All we have to do is continue to draw these squares up like this, and then another 345.4 degrees. And then find the center part. Then we see that the center part, the center of the square, once again times this top right there. So we have that, and then we can draw one more square up here like this. Then our 345.4 degree angle, just like that. Then we'll see the center right here. It's kind of in the middle right here. Excuse me. It gives this bottom right here is essentially what's happening, because the actual cross right there of these two lines happens between this candle and this candle. That's too far to the left, and that's just a little too far to the right. So basically it's giving us this nice bottom. So hopefully you found the examples in this video useful and helpful, and that you may try something along these lines in your own trading or forecasting. One thing to keep in mind is that the scale that I used, which is 2 pips of price for every hour of time, that's not the only scale that works on the 4-hour chart for the US dollar, Great British Pound, actually Great British Pound, US dollar. So like I said in the video, just experiment with different scales, and when you find something that really works for you, there you go. You got something to use to help with your forecasting. Until next time, this is Henry W. Steele signing off.